shift the way you lead, the way you live. Clarity, courage, change. Because your next level won't wait. This is Monday MindShift. The clarity you've been craving. The shift you didn't know you needed. Hello. Good morning. Happy Monday. Today is June 22. Welcome to Monday MindShift. I am Sean Michael, the Identity Disruptor, and I'm excited to have anyone and everyone who's here, whether you're here on live or replay. I appreciate the fact that you carved some time out of your day to spend here listening to Monday MindShift. And let's let this roll. As you join, go ahead and say hi, drop in, let me know where you're watching from, anything like that, and share your thoughts. What are you getting out of Monday MindShift? Anything like that. And I have a special announcement today. Today, I have a very special guest. I have Angie Alexander joining us. So let me bring her on. Hello, Angie. Welcome.
Hi, good morning. Yay.
Good morning. For those who might not know you, can you go ahead and tell us a little about you?
Sure. So as you said, my name is Angie Alexander. I live in Canada. I'm in Calgary, Alberta. The quick note is I grew up here in Calgary. I'm an engineer by training. I worked in oil and gas for over 20 years, and then I shifted into leadership, team effectiveness. I have a mental fitness coaching certification, and that's the bulk of the work that I do with folks now is based in that mindset. My brand, my company is called Sage Leadership, which comes from the mental fitness coaching. So it's all about showing up and being the leader, the best human, the best leader that you can be. And in this, the Sage really is that inner knowing and inner wisdom, which means that we can lead from a place of empathy and curiosity and creativity, purpose, passion, all of those things. And by being in our sage self instead of in our world we would call saboteur self, we can lead. And leading doesn't have to come from a title. It's not necessarily a leadership role that we have in a company. Can be, but I believe that we're all leaders in our own way, whether we're leaders within our family, our community, our friend groups, as well as within our organizations, with or without a title. So so that's me. And I'm, Sean, you and I have crossed paths on Clubhouse mostly over the years, and finally connected visually last week. And I don't have a good excuse for why I don't normally get these calls other than it's Monday and I'm kind of running into the week. And by the time I realize this is happening, it's happened. So here I am. I'm glad it worked out for me to be here with you today.
And I really appreciate you being here today, Angie. I 100% agree. I often say you're a leader. You just haven't called it that yet.
Right.
Because, as you said, we're all a leader in some aspect in a group. And I often have taught people that I've crossed paths with, they're like, well, I'm not, what am I supposed to do? My manager, blah, blah, blah. Lead up.
Yeah.
Lead up.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Take the reins and some control of your destiny, when you're not being when you don't have the right leadership to help you. And I love what you share on sage leadership, because it's the way I see it, Angie, is it's about leaning into the sage,
Mm.
realizing that the saboteurs are still there.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're driving the bus.
Yes, often more than we would like.
And that's okay. That's part of this human experience. The part of human growth, I believe, is that we learn to from that, and then we lean into the more identity driven leadership, the sage leadership,
Yeah. Yeah.
the 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 higher version of ourselves, as you so eloquently
Yeah.
put.
Yeah. And it's for me also, it's figuring out that it's there, that other version of like our sage self is there and has always been there, and learning to trust it, because so often that other side, you would call it the other chair, the saboteur side, has made us believe that that's why we're where we are today, why we're as successful as we are today. And so it's sometimes hard to step away from that, lean into that other side that we haven't allowed out and we don't necessarily trust, because the other voices are like, but you're successful because of me, and you know, don't, like, if you don't do these things you will not be successful. So there's a trust, a self trust, and a learning, relearning of who you are that comes from that too.
Absolutely, yeah. And I often have called that identity lag.
Mm-hmm.
Right,
Yeah.
we're holding on to the old version, the saboteur, the old identity.
Yeah.
I even, like, all the clients I've worked with, the common thread is something I call the conditioned self,
Right.
or
Yes.
conditional self.
Mm.
Right, because you're trying to prove something to somebody.
Right.
I'm enough, I'm good enough, I'm pretty enough, I'm smart enough, whatever.
Yeah.
And letting go of this version of ourself, what I would call chair one, that
Mm.
probably has done a lot of, got us to where we are today, right? It kept us
True.
alive. It helped us have the success we've had.
Yep.
And it's hard to let go.
Right. Right.
Even though we can see the sunrise on the other side, that chair two, that's a better chair.
Right. Yeah.
I like this chair.
I know. I'm familiar with this chair, even though it's uncomfortable. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Often we would prefer to stay in the known discomfort
That's right.
rather than to step into unknown comfort.
Right. Right. Because it feels uncomfortable.
It's uncomfortable.
Because we don't know. Yeah. Yeah. The discomfort of the unknown.
New. Yeah. It's unknown. Yeah. The brain, our mind hates unknown. It's like, oh, I don't know what to do with that. Like, okay,
Yeah.
stay back.
That's right. That's right. And the irony, just going back to what you're saying about that, the chair one voices, the, like, you know, for us, there's multiple saboteur voices of the, you know, conditional, you have to be enough, you have to be all the enoughs. The irony there is that there's that voice that continues, for me anyway, to tell me that I'm not enough, right? I'm not smart enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not. And so even though that's the conditioning that I'm trying to live up to, there's a constant chatter that says, but you're not, right? So
Right.
if I can find my way back into my sage self, which knows that I'm enough, right? Doesn't matter what the external conditioning is telling me, I'm enough. And so that's the irony sometimes, is we're stuck in that place of like trying to meet all these conditions that are placed on us, and that's where we're comfortable, I guess, or we know, but we have this like inner nattering that goes on all the time telling us that we're not, and we're not, that makes us uncomfortable and unhappy, and And yeah, so it's an
Right. Yeah,
interesting chair to be
it
sitting in.
is yeah, it is an interesting chair. And for myself, I had that chattering voice
Mhm.
that I believed for so long,
Correct. Yes.
in spite of evidence to the contrary.
Correct. It's funny you say that because I say that all the time. My little voice tells me all the time that I'm not smart, that everyone else is smarter than me. Doesn't matter what room I walk into, and the evidence does not support that. I mean, come on, like I have an engineering degree. I worked in oil and gas for a lot of years. I was successful. Um, so yeah, that was like a ridiculous claim
and
that
and
silly
as a
voice makes.
woman in a
Yeah.
predominantly male,
Yes.
area, so
Yes.
that bumps you up a notch.
Presumably. Sure. I'm just a human. But yeah, yes, I agree. No, you're right. Like to that's all part of it too. The little extra work that women often have to do in that male dominated place to prove, yeah, to prove that we belong. So yes, so that, yeah, all that evidence was stacked up, but I couldn't connect the two. That voice was so loud at times telling me that I just wasn't, yeah, everyone else
Exactly.
here is smarter than you. Like, says who? Right. Yeah.
Right. And that's part of the process is the voice, we can't silence it. And that's
No.
not the goal.
No.
It's like I've learned to go, yeah, I hear you, but that's not true.
Right.
And
Yeah.
go on.
Yeah.
Right. Don't
I just
fight
tell her
it.
to go sit down. She's sitting back
Don't
there all the
fight
time.
it. Don't
Yeah.
fight
Yeah.
it.
Just go sit.
Just
Yeah.
acknowledge, like, I hear you. Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
And then plug ahead.
Yeah.
So if you've been here for this entire series, this is the final episode of the Identity in Under Pressure series. And I created this series because of the work I was doing with clients that they experienced real shifts in how they lived, how they did things, but then they stepped onto new ground and it felt shaky. And so those old voices like to go, just step back over here. You know what's over here.
That's
It's
right.
solid. Like, just
Yeah.
come back over here. And through this series, we've been doing real work. And I don't mean the kind where people nod along and feel good, like, oh, it's a good way to start our Monday. Yeah, that's part of it, but that's not the goal. It's uncomfortable kind, right? It's what happens when success outpaces our self concept or our identity of who we believe we are, because we built something real. But as you said, Angie, part of us still says, yeah, but yeah, but.
Right.
And in the second episode, we named what happens when the questions come from the market, from our clients, and they feel like an identity attack. Like, what do you mean? Like, why are you asking me? Then we looked at AI. AI is there. It's here, right? We're this close to what they call AGI, which I don't want to get into that, but it's like the super intelligence that really knows everything about us and life. And but the question is if AI can do what I do, who am I? And I think we talked about part of it that isn't being talked about. A lot of people are talking about, implementing AI and how much AI you use and what do you use it for and blah, blah, blah. But I hadn't heard this conversation. Then we looked at, holding it all together, that cost of being the calm one, the steady one all the time. And follow that up with hustle, right? The drive, the ambition that is a positive trait, but we have to evaluate it, right? That where is it coming from? Am I running towards something or am I running away from something? Am I avoiding sitting and facing the shadow, the other parts of me? And then last week we talked about outgrowing the people in the rooms that we enter. It's tough. There's a grief that comes with that because they remember the previous version of ourselves. So we had 5 episodes of this 2 chair work. As you said, you said in mental fitness, it's the sage and the saboteurs. Each of the chairs each week has had a different mask, a
Yeah.
different type.
Yeah.
It's all the different types of saboteurs.
Correct.
We've had the tension the whole time, and the question was always the same: which chair are you sitting in now? This episode is the resolution. And I want to thank Leanne, I can't remember the last name, up in Minnesota, and Mike LeBlanc, who brought this up in the comments, and that inspired this episode titled The Third Chair. Because the reality is the 2 chair work isn't about eliminating one of the chairs. It's not, the 2 chairs was not the end. It was the door. it was the threshold, I call it. So to open us up, I want to drop something. I'm not going to explain it. What if the goal isn't choosing the right chair, but the work is learning to stand up? And I want to sit with that for a moment. While you're sitting with that, drop in the comments where in your leadership, and as Angie and I both alluded to, we're all leaders in some level, regardless of titles or roles or any of that. Where in your leadership right now are you still stuck between 2 versions of yourself? Maybe you're oscillating, not sure which one to trust. Thoughts, Angie?
Yeah, so great. Like I said to you before we went live, I'm sorry I missed the other 5, but I will endeavor to go back and listen to them because I think they do. Like I resonated as you went through them. I resonated with a lot of all of the questions. Oh, my headphones just died. Hopefully you can still hear me. Yeah, okay, good. They went bloop, 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 bloop. So yeah, I think it's so interesting because one of the things, I'm just going to pick on the hustle one because that for me, as soon as someone starts talking about hustle, I can feel in my body a response to that. And I think for me, if I think about my career, even prior to my career, my schooling, it just, and even as I launched into coaching, there's so much of this hustle feel of like in order to be successful, you have to like go hard, go fast. Like it's all about how many people can you talk to, or how many hours of work can you, like even in the corporate world, it was so rewarded and held up there as like, you're putting in so many hours and you're doing all of this. And I always felt a resistance to that. So for me, I mean, it was there. It was just whether or not I chose to engage in that. And so for me, I tended to resist it, but that creates its own tension, right? I'm resisting, which then creates friction. And then that ties into the cost of being the calm one. Because I think I've always been that, but not necessarily in a healthy way, right? Like I think that's where it all, like recognizing where you've been in those environments and being the calm one can definitely cost, whether it's just in your own emotional, the friction, but also maybe because you're the one sitting back and doing things efficiently and calmer and helping create calmness within the craziness. That wasn't always celebrated and rewarded, especially in corporate culture. So there's a cost there. And then, the grief of outgrowing people. I think that's something that I hadn't really thought much about before, but I think about when I try and sometimes go back and visit with people, or you see people that you haven't seen for a while, and you realize that you've shifted and you've changed. And I don't have a lot of patience and tolerance anymore for that sort of hustle, that hustle culture. Like, oh, I'm so busy. I'm so busy. Really? Like, why do we wear that as a badge of honor? Anyway, so yeah, I think, and then coming to your, yeah. So I'll stop there. I'll pause there.
No, I was acknowledging, like you said, it's a badge of honor. Like, oh, my
Yeah.
schedule's so full, I just don't have any bandwidth for that.
Yeah.
It is a badge of honor, and I asked the same question. I'm like, why? Like, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
And specifically today, I want to address something head on. Often the two-chair model gets misread. People hear it and they immediately start going, okay, which one's the winner? Which is the right one? Which identity gets to stay and which one has to go? And people do the work, they start identifying when they're in chair one, that old self, performing, proving, stay safe by staying useful, right? Stay productive.
Right.
And then they start to look at, they go, oh no, there's this other chair over here that's the better version of me, and I know it. And all the evidence is pointing over there. And that version of us knows it doesn't need all that stuff that the other chair needed.
Right.
And so people develop this idea like, okay, so I just got to get out of chair one. How do I get out of chair one and get rid of it?
Right.
In all the work I've done with leaders, seeing their identity transitions, there's a pattern I see frequently. And it's not that people are stuck in the wrong chair. They're burnt out, they're exhausted from dancing between the chairs. They're playing musical chairs. Like, I'm in this chair, and I'm in this chair, I'm in this chair, and I'm in this chair. Maybe they land in chair two for a moment, and they feel good. Like, okay, I'm clear, I'm aware, I'm as you put it, Angie, I'm in my sage.
Right.
And then the real world hits.
Yeah.
Pressure comes. There's a team situation, low revenue in the quarter, an old relationship that's pulling at you. And in a minute, you're in chair one, and you didn't even like choose it. You're like, wait, who moved the chairs? But the problem isn't that we go back to chair one. The problem isn't that the saboteurs are driving the bus. It's that we only ever see from inside the chair.
Right.
Where we're in chair one, everything's a threat. In chair two, everything looks like, oh, proof. I did it. I shifted. I grew. I'm better. And I'm not discounting those. Those are real. Those are real perspectives.
Totally. Yeah.
But they're only part of the picture, right? There's a third place. And that's not compromise. It's not a moderation between the two. Like, okay, I'll just get in the middle and everything will be okay. Or trying to avoid, bouncing chair to chair. It's that position where we can step back, like we were talking about this before, where you can actually step back and see how I ended up in that chair, when I moved to this chair, what happened in each of the chairs. You actually start to see the fuller picture.
Right.
And you can see the logic that chair one's holding, while at the same time, the forward direction of chair two, and you don't have to collapse into either one, right? It's the witness position. And I just want to say some highs. I see Meryl, Nicole, Sue, Leanna. Glad you made it, Leanna, since you're part of the inspiration for this episode. And Christy, welcome. Happy to have you all here. So this is what this whole series has been building to, is what happens when you find that third position and your eyes are open. You're like, oh, I know it changed my life. Like, because I was constantly bouncing back and forth. I'm like, oh, I'm over here in chair two. I'm growing. I'm doing da da da. And then pressure hits and boom, I'm over here. And it's like, no, 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 I don't want to be here anymore. I grew out of that chair. I don't want to be here anymore. Like, what am I doing here?
Right.
And actually seeing that when I can step back and look from that wider perspective, and I don't have to defend what I did in chair one or the fact that I ended up back there. I can just go, okay, I slip back there. Then we get up and move to the other chair.
Yeah.
And bring everything together. Thoughts?
So many. I love that. Yeah, I just want to welcome everyone. I'm trying to see the comments, but I don't want to. Anyway, I'm seeing them, so thank you everybody. And Meryl, of course. I want to give a shout out to Meryl. If any of you saw my post or Felipe's post, Meryl made a surprise appearance on my Clubhouse stage, and it was so exciting. So I know. It was so great. It was so great. So Meryl, I so appreciate you. Just want to give you another shout out. And I know many of you know Meryl, and already jumping in and making us all feel so good about ourselves, which I so love about Meryl. So yeah, I even just as you were talking, Sean, one of the things when you're talking about burnout and how leaders feel that way, that so much of, for me, what I hear even in you talking is there's so much inner chatter and energy that gets expended as we're like, oh, I should be here, I should be there, should I be standing here, should I be standing there? That's driven from, in my world, that saboteur voice, which is probably more likely happening in chair one. Mm-hmm. And that beating up that happens when we find ourselves in chair one, right? And being able to take that moment to go, okay, here I am again. And there's a reason I landed here. And that's, I think, what we're starting to talk about with that third chair, that third perspective, to observe without judgment, but with discernment, this idea of, okay, what just happened? Like, I'm not going to, like, it is true that I was in chair one or in chair two, and now I'm in chair one. This is true. And why is that? And can I, and that sort of third chair allows me to be discerning, kind of watching the movie unfold without the extra added energy that goes into the beating up that tends to happen from those voices that come from chair one. And I think that is so powerful to be able to see those two things and celebrate. First of all, celebrate not just always when we're in chair one. I mean, obviously that's worth celebrating and recognizing what that feels like and the positive that comes from that, and why it's valuable to be there more than chair one, and not beat ourselves up. I encourage folks to even just celebrate when you see that you're in chair one. Like, that awareness of even where you happen to be is so valuable. And that's part of that third chair awareness, I think, is observing from an outsider's perspective what's actually going on, and being able to see that. And I think the other thing, the last thing I'll say before I turn it back, is how we see part of being sage in my world, like the hashtag be sage piece of things, is that awareness is part of that. The awareness of seeing whether I'm in chair one or chair two is part of the sage journey that we're all on, and learning to have that moment. The analogy we use is our hand on the hot stove. So I'm having some kind of negative response. I'm frustrated. I'm whatever. Chair probably sitting in chair one with my hand on the hot stove. So to recognize that, take your hand off the hot stove. Say, okay, thank you. That tells me something, but I'm not going to stay there. I'm not going to sit with my hand there on the hot stove and just let it continue to create anxiety. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I definitely see that. Like, it's the awareness, like, okay, I ended up in chair one.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't a conscious choice. It happened.
Right.
And looking at it from that place of discernment, not judgment, as you said beautifully, that, okay, how did I end up there? What happened? What
Right.
was the catalyst? And what do I do next time I face that catalyst? I love the illustration of the hot stove, right? Because I remember when my son, when he was little, and he first touched the hot stove, right? Because at that age, they didn't know.
Right. Don't know what you don't know.
The first time you touch a hot stove, or I was an electrician in the Navy. The first time you get zapped by the electricity, you're like, "Oh, okay, I don't want that to happen again."
Nope.
So you respond quicker.
Hmm.
And it's the same way in our growth, right? When we end up in the saboteur in chair one, don't beat yourself up. Acknowledge, like, okay, I'm here.
Yeah.
This is what triggered that to get here. What can I do to prepare for the next time that happens?
Right.
Just like the hot stove, when you get close, when you start to feel the heat, you're like, oh, no, that's hot. I'm not touching it.
Right.
Right. Or often with hot food, I tell my son, I said, touch it to your lips.
Right.
If you can pass your lips, then you don't burn the snot out of your tongue.
Right. Or the roof of your mouth, or yeah.
Worst.
Yeah.
All right. And we also picked up Jay and Kimberly. Welcome, guys.
Yay.
Thank you for being here.
Good to see you.
Jay says he was jealous of not being there to hear Meryl speak.
Yeah.
And where is it? He said, where did he say? He called the Sage Jedi Mistress. Is how he defined you.
There's another one out there who likes to make us feel good about ourselves. Thank you, Jay. Always.
Yes. So instead of the standard 2-chair exercise, today I want to do it a little different. We're not going to look at the identities that are in tension, because we've been doing that, right? Everybody knows their chairs. What I want you to do is imagine both of them. Chair one, all the old ways, everything you've been holding on to, every belief that got you here, the things that you hold to as, keeping you safe. And chair two, all the evidence that you're changing, that you're growing, that you're operating in your sage, as Angie's world defines it, and hold it out in front of you. And my question is this: where are you right now? And I don't mean which chair or which identity, or are you operating in saboteur or sage? Where are you in relation to those positions? However we define it, whether it's chairs, identities, sage and saboteur, where are you at right now that you can see both of them? Maybe you're inside one of them, defending or reaching toward it. Or maybe there's a part, even a small part, that is like, I can see both of them. that's the third chair, wherever it is for you. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to get the 10,000-foot view, although that's useful sometimes, right? It could be just a shift in the seat, like, okay, now I see both positions. Go ahead and drop in the comments. And Dr. Marcia, there's another name I don't see very often on Monday. What would it mean for your life, your leadership, if you could hold both versions of yourself without there having to be a winner?
Ooh, winner. Again, there a little response to that. Again, that's so conditioned in us, isn't it? That like we always have to win whenever we
winner.
Yeah, there's just something like that that's, so it becomes, and then sometimes that's okay if you're playing in the World Cup soccer game, then yeah, there's value in the winning and losing. And knowing, I think part of knowing that is, do we need to be in a winner or loser? Is the like what's the best place to be? And if I'm not there, I'm losing, right? So yeah, I love this feeling of being able to step back and just acknowledge, okay, I'm not at 10,000 feet. I can't actually see both chairs and understand what each of those would look like, but I'm aware enough to start with to know that I'm in one or the other chair, right? And that's worth saying something. And this idea of standing up, you posed that question at the beginning about, what if it's just about like standing up so that you can, and I feel like as I think about standing up, that even that gives you better perspective, right? You can see more if you're standing than if you're sitting. So that sense of standing and having a look around gives you a bit of a sense of how far you might be or close you might be to one or the other. And I'd like to think that especially for those that are doing this kind of work and that have been joining you regularly, or joining me regularly, like knowing that we're probably closer to that chair too than we think we are sometimes, right? Like I think we don't give ourselves credit for that as we can beat ourselves up so much about, oh, here I am again, right? How did that happen? So again, all this mental inner chatter that we beat ourselves up versus just saying, okay, hold on a second. I got pulled over there and I'm there, but I recognize it. So I'm going to stand up and look, and I'll look, there's that other chair, right? I know where it is, and I've been spending more time there than I have been in the past. And that there's so much value in that, and starting to see like the goal is to see as much as you can. Like I think that 10,000 foot, and let's celebrate the steps along the way. And there's no winning and losing here in this case, right? You're just celebrating the steps that you've made to get that little bit further along. I just want to sort of reflect a bit on my own journey and how much we can beat ourselves up when we think like, I don't know about you, Sean, but there's times when I am having to be the one. I do a lot of helping others, coaching others. They come to me, oh my God, this happened. And, and I help talk them through it, right? It's my job. And I can tell you, it doesn't happen as often to me anymore where I get pulled into that first chair, or hijacked is what I would call it. But when I do, it is so hard. Like it takes a bit for me to even just turn down that voice that's starting to say, I can't believe you landed here. You're the one that's supposed to know how to do this. And why aren't you like just that inner chatter that starts from there. And then realizing that, again, taking that step back and saying, okay, hold on a second. And bringing in all the skills, the tools that, that I've learned, that you've learned, like each of us has, there's no right way to do this. It's the self-awareness and the tool.
It's all third. Yeah. These are all third chair perspectives.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
I call it one thing, you call it another,
That's right.
somebody else calls it something else. We're all talking about the same thing.
We are. We just call it whatever lingo and an approach works for you, right? But I tell you, like it is hard when you have to apply it to yourself. For me anyway. And I mean, I was just traveling with not with my family and not with my usual travel partners, and that put yourself in a different situation. And you talked about that early on, like in a workplace, it might be a different project, a deadline, somebody new, or returning into your world. All of those things, you get a disruption in your kind of usual patterns. And yeah, I had a few moments on this trip where I was like, wow, okay, here's a version. Yeah, here's a version of me that I don't love, right? And so how do I adjust and apply all the things that I help people with, and recognize it's very humbling, right, to do that and come through it on the other end and see, okay, that was really hard, right? Mental fitness is it's like there is effort and there's work that's involved to continue to build and use the muscles. But it feels good when you flex them and you use them, and then you see on the other end, and I think this is the third chair also, to see the impact of the work when you do it in the moment, and not get stuck because you're mad at yourself that you got here I am again, back in chair one, right? So I think there's always the learning, and that self-awareness and reflection is so important.
Yeah, and I think that's the third chair wisdom is you realize quicker that you're back in the chair one.
Yes.
And you're able to take out your tools, use your medicine, because they take your own medicine.
Yeah.
And if you think it's bad enough when you hear yourself telling you, like, come on, you know how to deal with this. Imagine when your 8-year-old kid echoes back the things you've been teaching, and you're like, yeah, you're right. You're exactly right, honey.
Yeah.
Thanks for pointing that out for Dad.
Yeah, and let's celebrate how smart he is.
But it's about bouncing. It's not never falling again. It's not about never going back to chair one. It's about learning to recognize it more quickly.
Yes.
And get in the third position and go, okay, here's what happened. Here's how that, okay, this, now I know, make a plan for next time.
Yeah.
Does it mean you're not going to end up back in chair one next time? Probably not. You might, you very likely will. That's the journey we're on. I actually was working with a client, massive shifts. And she wrote me this beautiful testimonial. She's like, I can't post it on your Facebook. Upon further discussion, she's like, you can use my story in your book, but please anonymize it. She's like, I teach this stuff. I can't be seen as needing a coach.
That's right.
What?
I feel her pain. I know. Yeah.
Right? And it's like the winner thing, or some of the other conditioning that the hustle thing. It's like, what? Like, we're not done yet.
Right.
I'm going to be closer when my time is over, but it's a daily battle. It's a daily process. It's fitness, right?
Yeah.
The fitness is a perfect word, because physical fitness, if you stop doing the physical activity, you start to slip back. You've got to continue to keep doing it. Same with mental fitness, emotional fitness, right?
That's right.
We have to do it, and we're going to mess it up.
Yeah.
But I don't see it as win-lose. I've learned to adapt this for me. It's win or learn. Either I'm successful, or I learn, like, oh, there it is again.
Right.
Okay, what am I going to do about it? Right. So that I have more choice. I don't have to get yanked back every time. I can go, whoa, wait a minute. No, you're not pulling me over there. I see what you're trying to do.
Right.
It's not happening today.
Right. Yeah. And if you do, it's okay. You just,
Yeah,
again, this standing up thing, like just stand up, right? Like
yeah,
hand off the
stand up,
hot stove, stand up out of the chair, and have a look around. I think
right?
that's the
Or,
first step towards the third chair, is just
to use
stand
a
up. Yeah.
Guatemala metaphor, they have these chips and they sell them in the US. They're called Takis Fuego.
Okay.
Fuego means
Sounds
fire.
spicy. Yeah, I was gonna say sounds
Oh, there
spicy.
are. They're very spicy. And they're addictive. Like, you eat one and you're like, oh, I gotta have
Give
more.
me more.
Give me more. It's a weird thing. But, you know, when you want to cool the burn, like when my sons had spicy stuff, I'm like, have some milk, have some,
Yeah.
have a little sip of Pepsi or something. We don't drink a lot of Pepsi, but something sweet
Yeah.
takes the fire away quickly.
Right.
It doesn't mean you don't put another one in your mouth and get it on fire again, but it's about
Love
learning
that.
to use the tools to realize that we're not in where we'd like to be, get that third perspective, the third chair
Okay.
perspective, and take the next step to get back into the chair we want to be in.
Yeah.
And I want to call out something because some might misconstrue this message. That third position, that witness, we're not talking about detachment, right? We're not saying stand back and just let go of everything and hold both views. And that that might get misread as, oh, so I'm not supposed to feel the frustration, the guilt, the shame, the humility of how did I end up here again? Because detachment is about getting distance. Like, I don't want to deal with it, so I'm gonna separate.
Yeah.
The witness is still in contact, right? You're still there. You're seeing it. You're touching it. You're feeling it.
Right.
It's the difference between a leader who never feels any pressure and the leader that says, okay, there's some pressure, but I can still keep the view clear and plan to move to the next step.
Yeah.
Because the third chair isn't protection from a weighty decision. It just gives us better ground to make it.
Yeah. A little more clarity, right? A little more, yeah. You're not in the muck, but you're like, yeah.
Right.
Put the goggles on to see through the muck.
Right. Or clean the glasses.
Clean the glasses. I love that. Yeah. Wait a second. Didn't realize how dirty my glasses were. Yeah.
Right. You don't have to fight to defend either chair or prove either chair. It's, like, okay, yeah, I ended up in chair 1 and I'm going to move back to chair 2.
Yeah.
Acknowledging, like, yeah, sometimes I'm going to end up back in the other version.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
And, a lot of times we might feel friction. We've named the chairs to ourselves at 2 a.m, 3 a.m. I usually wake up at 3 or 4 and have all the brain activity go crazy. That's not a sign that the work isn't done, that you haven't done the work.
Right.
It's part of the integration process, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, very much so. Yeah.
Right.
I'm sorry, I'm distracted. I'm reading this. I'm loving this conversation that Kimberly started us with. She asked, she's like, what instrument do you play, Angie? And I'm like, why is she asking me that? I was thinking about an orchestra. So I'm like, oh, that's a fun metaphor, analogy. Because I don't play an instrument, but thanks for asking.
I wondered. I was like, I saw that. I was kind of like, oh, okay. I'm not sure.
Kimberly, we need more. Well, even just this idea of the because it's true. That's like I actually have a cousin who plays violin in an orchestra here in Canada, and she talks about first chair and second chair, and so I can see that.
Right, and the third chair,
yeah,
we could see as the conductor.
Maybe, yeah.
They've got the perspective to see every section,
right,
first and second chair, and
Yeah.
they have to make it all work together.
Right. Yeah. Turn
So
this
that,
down over here and speed this one up a little over here. Yeah. Pretending like I
right.
know what a conductor does.
I always just went,
Yeah, I know, right?
a conductor. That's how it works, right?
Apologies to anyone we might be offending who's actually a conductor.
But I did study music,
Okay.
when I was most of my childhood, so I have an understanding of
Yeah,
what
yeah.
the conductor does.
Yeah.
Very surface level.
Sure.
The reality is, just because you ended up back in the saboteur or the old chair, it's not, you're not broken.
No.
None of us are broken.
No.
Or, you don't have to go and say, well, all these great teachings that I see on LinkedIn or Clubhouse, and I'm still stuck back over here, and somehow
What's wrong
I
with
failed to
me?
apply
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
This is where the real shift happens, right? It's just like you said, it's awareness. It's getting that perspective. I always say it this way: you can't read the label from inside the jar.
Yeah.
So you got to figure out how to get outside the label so you can read.
Interesting.
So you can see.
Yeah, that's a fun analogy.
And one of the other teachings I saw is a snow globe. Think of our mind like a snow globe. If you shake it, you can't see what's going on. It's very turbulent, all this stuff. Can you shake it more to get it clear? No. You got to leave it sit for a moment.
Put it on the shelf for a minute. Yeah.
It's the same thing when our thought storms are going off.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to look at it like the weather, right? The clouds will come. They'll do what clouds do, and they will go on. You don't have to grab a hold of everything.
Yeah. The sunshine and the blue sky are always there. You can't always see them. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Super fun.
And it's not that we get stuck between the two versions because we haven't made a solid decision. I would say the stuckness comes because we've learned somewhere that the decision is what brings safety. Pick the right chair.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, this in between is scary and uncertain, and
the messy middle.
That's right. Yeah.
But mental fitness, emotional fitness, physical fitness, identity. It's not a one and done choice. You don't make a choice and one day everything's done.
No.
It's a daily practice that we return to every time we need to. The third chair is not a destination to arrive at. It's the very practice of standing up and getting a better view.
Yes.
To see the old self, the self I'm becoming, and embracing both of them because they serve a purpose.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And learning, right, that nobody has to lose.
That's right.
It's not the World Cup.
That's right. And we can all measure winning differently, right? So,
Absolutely.
Yeah. Awesome.
All right, I'm going to look at the comments. We got like 5 minutes left.
Yeah.
The orchestra.
Felipe's in the room.
Yeah, Felipe. Lisa, our menopause expert, which I wouldn't wish that on anybody.
Menopause.
My wife's in the midst of peri, and it's a journey.
That's a whole other conversation.
That's for Lisa's show.
That's right. That's right.
But it does tie in because it's a period of huge identity shifts for women.
Yeah. Yeah. That chair one gets a whole lot bigger, right? It's a lot more, it's so much easier to get pulled into it. It's like a magnetic force sometimes which
Yeah,
I was reading
totally
Sue's
outside control, right?
right. Yeah, Sue's comment. I don't know. I'm not assuming it's related at all to what we're just talking about, but like learning not to shout, breathe, pause, respond, react. Ideally, walk away for a few minutes before you respond. Yeah, it's like versions of that, right? Like, they're learning not to shout. Well, shout doesn't have to be like out of your mouth out loud. It could be shouting at yourself in your head. It could be it's that overreaction. And in mental fitness, one of the positive intelligence framework that I use, the biggest tool that we have that even the most practiced among us tend to forget, and I think this ties to kind of the standing up piece, is before we can shift to where we want to be, right? Which would be your second chair. You have to do something to regulate the nervous system to turn down that voice that's shouting, and that's the breathing, the pause. So in positive intelligence, we learn about the positive intelligence reps, or the PQ reps, which is the equivalent of going and lifting weights in the gym to build the muscles. But when I'm sitting in chair one and I'm frustrated, or I got my hand on the hot stove, whatever analogy you want to use, to take that pause, that moment to breathe, maybe step away. I think in the analogy the chair analogy, it's the standing up. Like, just stand up, get away from that, whatever it is that's creating that. Acknowledge that it's there, but just breathe for a minute, and that settles our nervous system, brings us back into what I would call that sort of sage place, where you're then, and trust that that part of you knows what the right thing to do next is. Yeah, to do or say.
Exactly, or letting the snow settle inside the
Correct.
snow.
That's it. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because
Just stop shaking.
physiologically, as human beings, we have two modes, right? We have the 4F, which is, designed to keep us alive.
Totally. When we were being chased by saber-toothed tigers.
Right.
Yeah.
Or other things, that
Yeah.
can end our life very easily. But it's designed to put the emergency response system online, and the logical thinking system shuts down.
Correct. Yeah.
And the breath is such a powerful way, the pause and breathe is such a powerful way to let that come down.
Yeah.
So we can reactivate, feel safe, and activate the rest and digest mode, where all our rational thinking is back online. And as you said, it could mean just standing up. It could mean, say, hey, I need 5 minutes. I'm going to go take a walk around the building, 2 laps or whatever.
Yeah.
And that, and I've seen other ones like, acupressure points, whatever works for you to help you stop the storm.
Yeah.
Let the storm run its course, and then move from there. And I was thinking, as you shared, if you know you're not where you wanted to be, you're like, okay, I'll have this destination. Well, in order to go to a destination, you got to know, where am I right now?
Yeah, very much so.
Right? Without that, it's like, yeah, destination's great, but I don't know where I'm at. So how do I get there?
Right. Yeah. And
I
it may be closer than I think it is.
Right.
Yeah.
I used to say, I'm not lost. I know where I am. I know where you are. I just don't know how to connect the two.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But today, it's to stop, pause, settle everything down, look at the map. Okay, how do I get to that destination?
Yeah.
All right, we're at the top of the hour. Thank you again, Angie, for being here.
My pleasure. So great.
Massive contribution to the conversation and the wisdom. Thank you all for watching and listening, carving some time out of your day. It is appreciated 100%.
Absolutely.
Next, I think there might not be MindShift next week. I have to look at the calendar because I losing track of where we're at. I know we're like late June because in early July I have to do some travel, so I won't be available. So I will let everybody know on my posts if there is a mind shift or not a mind shift. Anyway, thank you, Angie, again. Thank you all. Have a great week. And remember, sometimes you just got to stand up
That's
to
right.
get a better perspective. All right. Take care.
Thanks, Sean. Bye.